Hello, everyone. Happy Wellness Wednesday. My name is Becca Briley, Sweetheart Success Coach and Health Coach. So happy to join you today and excited to bring someone with us, Janet Lee, who I call the Living Food Chef. She's a raw food queen, who I'll let you get to know. For those of you who know her, you know her well as a Sweetheart instructor of our nutrition courses, who also has her own business and is thriving and has actually taught me a lot about the world of nutrition, prepping food, some amazing recipes that taste delicious that are supportive of our overall nutrition. So as a topic for today, we thought that intuitive eating would be appropriate. As some of you are cleaning out your fridges for spring cleaning, you're cleaning out your pantries and going, oh, wow, like I remember when I used to eat this. Just looking at all that processed stuff that you might be ingesting and taking a good look and reevaluation of, what we're choosing and why we're choosing it. So, wanted to be able to invite Janet on screen. Want to make sure that she can hear me and see me okay. I want to see how your bandwidth is. Janet, can you hear me and see me, Janet? I can hear you. I can see you. I don't think she can hear me or see me today. Okay, let me bring you up on screen. And you talk. I can hear you. Okay. And see you. All right.
Okay.
Good.
There I am.
Yes.
Glad you can see and hear me. I wish I could see you. Welcome, everyone. We are chatting about intuitive eating today. Always an interesting topic. My name is Janet Lee. I am a raw food chef and a health enthusiast, health educator, and I love talking about food or anything around lifestyle, anything around habits, how we eat, what we eat, all that. I love talking about all of that. So if that interests you, you're in the right place.
Good. So Janet has been teaching this curriculum for a while.
Every time you talk, Becca, it really comes in scattered.
Oh, yeah, I think it's your bandwidth in there. We're struggling. Whoever's back there, Jade, are you able to help Janet with her sound while I just remove her? All right. So, okay, let's get to the coaching. For everyone who's with us, do you have a question or a curiosity? Maybe you're struggling with or looking for ways to lose weight, maybe to deal with some inflammation. Maybe you have an autoimmune disorder. So at Sweetheart, when I was actually in the seat of admissions, I had the honor and privilege of having some of the most amazing conversations with people about them conquering some autoimmune disorders, some inflammation, like I mentioned. And there are a few key elements that people told me they've healed themselves. They've conquered these diagnoses by simply removing certain things in their diet. When you start to do this in your life, when you start to remove those things that no longer support your highest self, your optimum health, your intuition kicks in. And intuitive eating at what I call the core of intuitive eating is listening to our bodies, right? Listening to these beautiful temples, these flesh machines, these muscle machines that we've been gifted. And we have to take care of ourselves to be able to, I call it to be able to shine, like I eat well, I go to bed well, I stay hydrated so that I can show up to shine. Because if I don't, I'm not able to serve at this capacity. So I'm curious, and this, I'm going to do a little backstory for myself, and Janet will be right back. But growing up, society, how girls are supposed to look, how we're supposed to eat 3 meals a day, right? How you're supposed to snack to keep your metabolism up. I was programmed with all these thoughts, these societal standards, all of these programmed ideas, right? In that programming, I started to question and go, oh gosh, this doesn't feel right, or oh, this is too much. And to take it to the unhealthy realm, trying to keep up with those societal expectations led to disorders, eating disorders, having a very unhealthy relationship with food. Because when we think about it, we have a relationship with food, right? It's an addiction that many of us may have or have had in the past, but it's one that we can't kick, right? It's not an addiction that you can say no to every day. Like, you get to choose, right? So when we're able to, and I call awareness as the first step in any sort of coaching of self. So I will ask you, the viewers, are you aware of any unhealthy relationships with food? Does what you eat kind of conquer your day? Do you mindlessly eat? Are you multitasking when you eat? Do you have maybe some emotional tendencies to eat, right? And that's kind of what we coined this topic for today was, if you ever caught yourself emotionally eating, you could ask yourself, and this is where the coaching can come in with journaling. If you want to step into exploring or changing something, you can journal about it to learn more about yourself or explore that subconscious, right? So we can start to think about, when am I emotionally eating? Why am I emotionally eating? What's the emotion under why I feel that I need food? Am I lonely? Am I angry? Am I stressed out, right? These are temporary feelings, but it could be enabling us to want to go get some sort of comfort food, and what are you grabbing, right? Are you grabbing something nutritious, or are you grabbing that delicious carb or sugary treat for that self-soothing, right? So we can even analyze it all the way back to childhood, where, if we're crying, maybe we were coddled with food, or we were given a treat, or we were given candy, right? So it's fair for us to take a look at that past, of course, not let it define us, but be able to have that awareness to be able to know what to do next, right? Because if we're living in that program, it's going to proceed. But with awareness, then you can take the action to be able to fully choose different, right? And this is where Janet came into my world. When I went to Sweeha, 2011 is when I stepped into my role there. But learning as a nutrition coach, that, cooking our food isn't always what we need to do. The standard American diet isn't always what we need. So when you start to do the awareness work, right, which isn't always easy, and unfortunately it can be bumpy, it can feel ugly, it can feel shame, guilt, blame, maybe you're doing this with your kids, like self-compassion, number one, right? Remember that you have all of the knowledge within you to reset this, and you have the ability to do that. So I want to hear from anyone who's curious, or if you've struggled with emotional eating, at what point are you in that exploration? So for me, I just had a very healthy relationship with food. I started as like a child model actress, always thinking I needed to be thin. And in depriving myself of food, just led to some really unhealthy tendencies, right? And that could be true for a lot of people, no matter how old you are, what sex you are, what gender, how you identify. The pressure to look, speak, be, live, eat a certain way can be too much. So once you start to intuitively listen to your body, some amazing things start to happen. You'll notice that you can start naturally intermittently fasting, right? You notice that your body doesn't need all of that caloric intake based on your caloric requirements. Are you sedentary during the day? Are you constantly on the move? Are you exercising? Like, what is the requirements of your physical body, right? So that has a lot to do with it. And then you'll notice too, and this is my favorite part about my cravings as I'm an intuitive eater, I crave colors. So I find that most interesting, that actually like blues or reds or orange, yellow, I'll actually crave a color. So what that tells me is my body's needing some sort of nutrients, vitamins, supplements from a certain natural food, right? Like red, think of anything red. Tomatoes, apples, and it'll literally just crave that color. Greens, what do we have? Cucumber, lettuce, broccoli, that leafy foliage, asparagus. So it's really exciting when you get to that point of knowing yourself in that way. So yeah, post your comments, ask the questions. Janet's not going to be able to join us today due to low bandwidth. I'm sorry about that, because she's so amazing. But let's talk about those emotional components, right? And that feeling of we need to self-soothe in order to be able to deal with something going on internally. So if you find yourself doing that, what do you think you could do instead? As the coaching question. So number one, if you can identify, so for those of you who are experiencing any sort of emotional eating habits currently, we encourage you to start a journal, to get curious, and to explore when, like I said, when, why, and what you're choosing to eat. Okay. When you start journaling, you're going to have that awareness piece. When you identify these emotions, this is where it can be very helpful to have a health coach, a health practitioner, maybe you have a doctor, but someone to lean on to explore, the root of that, of where is this emotion coming from, and when am I overeating, right? Emotionally eating or depriving yourself of food. So when you can have that support, then you can explore that emotion, right? That temporary experience of maybe I do it, like I said, when I'm stressed, angry, feeling alone. You can name that for you. And then you can make a choice. If you know the foods that you grab or the drinks that you grab when you're experiencing that emotion, right? If emotion is just energy in motion, something that needs to move, is there something else you could do instead? So completely, instead of going to the food aspect or eating, you could choose to go for a walk. You could choose to read a book. You could choose to do whatever your favorite hobby is. You could choose to drink, a huge glass of water. So there's a bunch of options, and this is going to be different for everyone, right? There's no one for everyone. So I'm curious to know if anyone has done that for themselves. And if you have a tendency to overeat, definitely drinking that full cup of water before you eat is helpful. But explore that with curiosity, right? We don't want it to be a shame-filled experience. A lot of people who come in, they'll say, I want to be able to eat to live, not live to eat, right? A lot of people, their lives are programmed based on their next meal. What are we eating? What are we eating? When if we get really quiet and we can tune in to what our bodies really need, then we're able to make some wise decisions. So, curious what that is for you. Now, like I mentioned, in admissions on the front end, these stories of people calling in and saying that they have healed themselves, right? And they want to share this power with the world. So the number one things that people have shared with me are getting rid of dairy in their diets, gluten, red meat, and sugar. Right? So there's the 4 biggies that can cause disease, inflammation, cancer-causing agents. It is those 4 big ones right there. Now, I'm not saying that everyone needs to do this. We've even done Facebook Lives for Sweeha in the Kitchen where we've actually tested our blood types to find out what kind of foods we should be eating, which was really fun. But it can be very beneficial to, talk to your doctor about what kinds of food are supportive for you. And like I said, it's this common answer that these people have shared with me, these who are probably now Sweeha graduates when I was in that role, is getting rid of the dairy, gluten, red meat, and sugar, which is amazing. Because when you look at mainstream diseases, it's very eye-opening to see where they come from. And all the processed food that's out there, and again, there's no shame here because I still eat processed food. So when I talk to people and they're like, oh, you shouldn't do this, I still do sometimes, but within reason, right? So as part of the nutritional coaching assessment, for those of you who might be interested in maybe not taking a full nutrition program, but maybe a class or 2 or the certificate of excellence, when we do a nutritional assessment for clients, we do walk through a lot of these awareness pieces, a lot of exploring what's in your fridge, what's in your pantry, just a lot of coaching to be able to go through, are you aware of what you're doing and what you're choosing and why? And that's a very important piece when we find ourselves emotionally eating, overeating. Maybe we just have an unhealthy relationship with food. Maybe we have an eating disorder, that we can look at it with compassion and grace. And then a coach, whether you're on the client end or the coach's end, it's the accountability piece that's everything, right? So it's having someone who has your back, who knows your intention, who knows your plan of action, that will be able to be there as that reminder, as that check-in, as that when you're struggling, maybe you have that support system. You can have regular check-ins to be able to support your goal. So it's springtime, right? So I thought this was a good topic for those of you who are cleaning out your fridge or your pantry. Maybe you just want to get in better shape for summertime. Maybe just COVID over the past couple years just kind of kicked your butt. And we need to be able to, evaluate how can we eat healthier to support our health on the highest level. Janet is on Facebook joining me now. That's okay. Low bandwidth happens. So, accountability is key, which is why I was bringing Janet with me today, but we'll do it this way. Just getting really curious. Janet, I was telling everyone, just getting curious, journaling, finding out why we're emotionally eating, what we're choosing. But then to be able to have a coach or to be that coach, to be able to support the follow through, right? Because is change easy? for most people? The answer is probably no. And if you're saying yes, we probably want it to be. But realistically, when we have a lifetime of that programming, right, and we want to tap into our intuition, we want to be able to hear what our body is craving, what our body is telling us that we need. So if I wake up one morning and I'm like, I'm craving the color red, I'm just craving the color red. I know I need raspberries today. It's getting to that place of knowing yourself where that change can really happen. But getting rid of that, unconscious selection, food selection, or that unconscious self-soothing action when it's just a coping mechanism, perhaps. So like I was mentioning, Janet, it's like if you have a food addiction, it's hard because we can't kick that, right? We have to eat and drink every day. But yeah, Janet, change is so hard. Aligning our values to the goals can really make a difference. Working with a coach, yes. Aligning your values to the goals. I like that so much. So yeah, just starting to do that self-awareness work is, I think, where the intuitive awareness resides. And let's just look at that for a moment. Let's just get kind of raw and authentic here. How long have you been going on autopilot, making some selections, maybe any lifestyle choices? Is it from a past program? You think you should, it's convenient, it's just what I do. We call that autopilot, right? But when you take a moment to really sit with and think about, is this really supporting my highest self, my goal, what I say that I am? Am I even living up to what I say that I am? Right? That's a big one. Yeah. Yes, Janet, being brave enough to stop and be honest with yourself. That might be the hardest part for many. And I will claim that it was for me. And it's tricky because at our own level of consciousness, we think we're there, right? We think we've arrived because we want to be. The ego's tricky in that way. But when you can sit with it and keep doing that inner work and peeling back the layers of maybe the emotions that reside there when you're grabbing for the sweets, you realize it's something else and that you have the power and the ability to change it. So yeah, mindfulness is a huge part of this journey. Thank you, Janet. The mindfulness portion of our nutrition program courses is absolutely incredible. The power of being mindful is being able to be fully present in the moment. And when you talk about food, in relationship with what you're ingesting, what you're choosing to fuel your mind, your muscles, your cells to regenerate, right? You are regenerating, you are sustaining, and it's very important that we are intaking what we need. So doing that honest self-evaluation is helpful. Like I mentioned, whether you're on the client end, so if you're thinking about taking this program or starting some courses for nutrition, you can think about, do you want to receive it on a client's perspective before you step into that coaching role? So we do have what we call guidanceoncall.com, where you can actually reach out to find a coach, a nutrition coach to work with, who's actually a graduate of SweeHop. Or you can step into the class, because in class, you will be the client and you will be the coach. We want you to have that full scope of knowing the whole practice so you can see it from all perspectives, right? So I'm sorry that you weren't able to join live, Janet. We can try again another week. But for those of you who, are struggling with this area, just know that you're not alone. Know that there is someone who can support you. but being able to be ready, right? To do that self-work, to have that self-awareness, and to really implement that change is a commitment to yourself that we are excited about. It's why we exist as a college. We believe that healing is a daily commitment, and that it's something that we definitely hold ourselves accountable to as healers. And having an accountability partner to thrive in that way is essential. So yeah, I wanted to just share. If anyone's interested, you can go to, let me find my screen here. You can go to, let me share my screen, our ginormous website. And if you hover over programs, courses, and CEOs and CEUs, you can click view all programs. And this will navigate you to all of our offerings. And there's so many, I know, that if you're looking for a smaller like certificate, you could start with nutrition. You could add on the holistic entrepreneur and business development, holistic health and wellness coach. There's many options. If you wanted to go bigger, we have degrees, we have diplomas. And the great news is that our full-time offerings are supported by FAFSA for those who qualify, which is a huge blessing, so that you can make this a career for yourselves, or maybe even before, as you're getting close to retirement, maybe you still have a day job. It's something that you want to integrate, right, into retirement, and building up that clientele, building that practice is part of it. And we do offer marketing support after you become when you're a student, after you graduate, lifelong support. So we owe it to ourselves to feel our very best. Yes. Ask for help if you need it. Yes. And then Michael, classes have been wonderful. It's solidifying that health is up to us to change. Doctors are there for reactive care. It seems healing is up to individuals. Wow. Quote of the day, right, Janet? I know you're doing a happy dance back there. Thank you for saying that, because yes, our health is our responsibility. Our healing is our daily commitment to ourselves. Yes. And it is up to us, right, to have that preventative plan in action so that we can stay well, to reduce the need to go to the doctor, right? And then, choosing which path to go, if we're going to take medicine, antibiotics, pills, supplements, or if we just have a really solid foundation of whole foods, right? So, yeah, thank you. It's amazing that you said that. Wondering what program you're in, Michael. But glad that you're here with us. So thank you all for today. Our invitation to you is, if you find yourself resonating with this topic, you can go to guidanceoncall.com. You can reach out to a coach there. You can go to the main website. You can chat with an admissions coach online. You can have a phone call, share your success story in healing yourself, or maybe your journey right there, right now. So thank you for today. Thanks for trying to be on with me, Janet. Yes, very important topic. So spring blessings to everyone. Good luck with any allergies going on out there. Maybe that will be our next topic of conversation with Janet, but we'll see what's up next. So we'll see you guys next Wednesday. Hope all is well. Bye.